Crystal Wade here with Let's Wade In with a message for parents, grandparents, and caregivers. Part of the mission of Let's Wade In is this: when the Joshua generation is gone, the children can carry on strong. First, I'd like to share a little bit about us. When I was in my 20s, my dad was promoted to his home in heaven. And it was hard because we were a close family, and my dad was a really strong man full of faith. Amazing man of faith, really, for anyone that knows him. And when he was gone, I personally felt disoriented. And at that time, my family and I began to understand the very real transition it is when one generation of leadership is gone. And that's going to happen. It's going to happen in every generation. The leadership, whether that's in our families or our churches or in our nation, they're not going to be here forever. And when that leadership is gone, can we count on what we have done in the lives of our families being enough for our children to carry on strong? This is exactly what Joshua and Caleb and the leadership of Israel faced as they had followed the Father. And the Father had intervened in the lives of their nation, forming them from a ragtag group of families into a nation, as he was simultaneously performing international miracles to secure their freedom, and then other miracles to break the power of government and military leadership of nations, and then providing them with their own nation, which was secure with liberty and justice for all. The situation was such that in order to maintain the boundaries of their freedom and justice for all, they had to, with integrity, follow the Father and the code of ethics and the morals that he had given them. And they were able to do that well under the leadership of Joshua and Caleb and all of the elders who had grown up and seen firsthand all of the international and national and military and government miracles and victories that the Father had given them. But when Joshua and Caleb and that generation was gone, there was no restraining force. There was no trusted leadership. And they too felt disoriented. And what they began to do was to step outside of that realm of integrity of faith and do what they saw the other cultures around them doing. Now, they were a nation planted in the middle of many other nations. So they were surrounded by all kinds of different cultural mores. And what these different cultures would do were various forms of paganism and various ways of doing odd and ruthless things to appease the ones that they esteemed as their religious uppers. And it was not the Father. And it was completely diametrically opposed to the values and the integrity that the Father had given the nation of Israel under Joshua and Caleb, under Moses, actually. And so they found themselves in a crisis with no leadership, not much of an anchor, and cultures around them that looked like it was a free-for-all. You can do whatever you want and throw wild parties and just do all of these things that were opposed to their faith and the values and family and friends. And the Father has great parties too. He had feasts that he gave to the nation. They weren't wild, but they were very good and wholesome. And so they had to choose, are we going to follow the Father's plan and his values with no strong leadership? Or are we going to join in with the free-for-all and the cultures, not just one, but many cultures surrounding us. And are we going to embrace their values? Well, they did. They embraced the values of the culture around them, and they were no longer able to win their battles because the Father withdrew from them. And it just went from one bad thing to the other until they completely had to leave their land, and there was no freedom and justice for all. And so that's not the legacy that we want to pass on to our children at all. We want to be able to pass on to them solidity and faith and strength and hope and love so that they have enough in here to make it when the leadership that they look to is gone. So Let's Wait In was formed to fill in some gaps in these areas. One of them is a spiritual gap. Our teens, tweens, and children need to know in the first person, not from me, not from you, not from their pastors, not from anybody. They need to know in the first person that the Father loves and knows them. Your son, your daughter, your granddaughter, your grandson, the children that you impart to. They need to know personally in the first hand, the Father loves me. The Father knows me. The Father has good plans for me. And so that is the direction of many of our videos at Let's Wait In, is to help them understand and embrace in the first person that the Father loves and knows them personally. And then another part of the gap that Let's Wait In fills in is for the physical. I talk to many parents who have poured in, as we would say, blood, sweat, and tears into their children, tweens, and teens, and they're coming out of high school completely unprepared for life. And the reason that they are coming out completely unprepared when the parents and even the teens, tweens, and children have poured in so much investment is because they are doing everything that schools and churches and everybody has told them to do, and they have not had any development to look inside what is in me. What is in me? What are the clues that the Father put in me to who I am? And so Let's Wait In has videos that focus on health and investment of time and investment of planting into other people in order to get the harvest that they would like to have after their childhood, after their junior high, after their high school, and into their adult years. So we are helping them go deep and connect with the clues that the Father has put in them about their eternal missions on this earth, and to do physical things to get ready for that in their adulthood. So these videos are prepared for you to be able to watch and discuss with your children, grandchildren, or those that you're taking care of, or just leave the room and feel safe that they are watching material that you can feel good about, that pass on your values and help them grow their spirit and their souls. Because we want them to be able, in the first person, to go with God and go for the gold in the race of their own lives. We'd love to have you join us.